just before we get going, man, let's just
Go New York, go New York, go. Boy, humble pie smacked you in the face. And listen, man, I'm a New Yorker, B. But yo, we was wilding. We was wilding in the streets. I said it on my Instagram post, man. We acted like we won the goddamn championship, and we still have to get past Indiana and OKC, who I believe will be in the finals. But man, y'all was doing too much, and life said, hold on now. Smacking people in the head with trash, damn near having to have them get police escorts, doing pull-ups on light posts, sitting on the billboard. What the hey man, decorum and etiquette and class.
This is what happens when it's been that long since there's been a whiff of a championship.
Damn, act like you've been here before.
But they haven't. That's a whole generation, multiple generations that haven't been there.
But when you're a generation that knows nothing about the last championship, then what are you getting crazy for?
But they smelt it.
Yeah, you can't just smell it. You got to taste it. And y'all took a whiff and left the room.
Yeah. Shout out to the Knicks, though. Man, I love the team. I said it when we were talking about this, that they stand around when Brunson has the ball. And I think that's how they ended up dropping that first game.
0-2 going back to Indiana.
That second game was still a close game, but now you got to go back 2-0. Listen, man, it was further. I'm not saying it's over, but I'm just saying that as this is already you're ahead of schedule a year. I think New York was ahead of schedule anyway. So I'm not going to shit on this year. I'm happy for what they've accomplished. I hope they can get at least a game. I would like them to beat. I thought they were going to be able to beat the Pacers. I really did.
I'd like to see them go all the way.
I would too.
But down 0-2 going to Indy, ooh.
I'd like them to win a game. When they lost that first game, when they came back the way that they did, which is phenomenal. That doesn't happen. It's one in almost 1,500 times that a team's been up in the last minute by whatever amount of points, and I don't remember, but it was a big deal that they were talking about. It just doesn't happen. You don't. That was some out of the mind shooting. It was unbelievable that could happen. But I think there was a lot of blame to go around. There was a lot of standing around. I think Tibbs could have done a better job of. I think time management was a problem.
Stephen A. pointed that out. He was like, "How in the last 2 minutes and 28 seconds or something?
Yeah, 14 points.
You don't have Cat in the game."
Well, listen, I'm not even gonna. I'm not gonna. I just see the guys that all the offenses run through Brunson and they stand around and then Cat fades out to the 3-point line. Listen, man, at that point in the game. Man, you got the bigger. They went small. Cat's bigger. Body him up and go get either get the foul or the dunk.
Ask me to give you my zestiest Cat impression.
What do you got on the list for zesty Cat impressions, Aries?
That's the ass they said. Oh my God! How is that sweetener? But he has a girlfriend,
dude. He has that personality. That's his personality, man.
That's they said.
He's a force, man. Listen, big shout out to this is not on the Knicks. I love the Knicks, and I think that I think that an opportunity may have been squandered. And
I didn't know Indiana was that potent.
Yeah, no, they're a great team.
Damn,
they really are a great team. That we're going to see there's a lot of great basketball to come in the next few years, and I think this next year's draft has some really talented players in it.
I'm telling you, man. I'm calling it right now. OKC versus the Pacers, and OKC wins the whole thing.
Listen, from the talent that's there, I see what you're saying, but I don't know if they're ready for the moment either.
OKC? Who, OKC?
Yep.
That's all they've proven.
I know, but this is going to be the biggest moment, and they haven't been this situation.
But neither have the Pacers
I know.
or anybody else that could go to the finals.
I know. So I think it's going to be very, again, interesting to see what happens.
I think it's going to be very interesting. All right. Go, New York. Go, New York. Go. Womp, 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 womp.
Throw it back to you, Jim.
Spears and Steinberg.
You know what the it is?
Aries and Andy. Chew and the jerk.
You know it's time to get this work.
The real raw, gutter, uncut, cold. No political corrections.
Always sleep.
Being awoke. We discuss politics and jokes.
Cry, we lit.
There's levels to this shit. Before you was on your mama.
Aries Spears don't give a fuck.
We talk about race a lot, racism. Much love to my loyal bag holders.
Rollers, loaders.
We got them in the folders.
The whole world on our shoulders.
Spears and Steinberg.
Yeah.
Dude, I am buffalo winged out.
Yeah, because I was going to call you and ask you about that today, and I forgot. You ate all those last night.
The chest burn, the acid reflux on me for the last 48 hours. Holy Jesus, dude.
So you're done with the buffalo wings until next year?
No, until next week.
Next week.
We'll get some next week somewhere.
I went to the Jim's something on the side or
the
something.
cheesesteak place?
Yeah, and
Last night or today?
today for lunch, I got a. It wasn't bad. It wasn't Philly.
No.
No, but it's okay.
Listen, folks, here's what's on the plate today. And this was actually a recommendation from somebody, too. The Netflix Untold Shooting Guards about Gilbert Arenas and the other guy's name, I think it was Javaris.
Yeah.
And the whole gun situation in the locker room. And the big part of the meat on the potatoes is the Pee-wee Herman, the 2-part Pee-wee Herman documentary, which should be more than enough to cover the hour. But we also watched another Untold with Brett Favre, the downfall of Brett Favre, but that'll probably be locked away for next week. So really, that's the meat and potatoes of it. The only other thing I got that I wanted to mention before we dive in, and I know we said we were going to do it, and I'm probably still going to push my way through it.
You saw it.
And then you called me and said, man, Mobland, right?
I said it's like the whole first episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's a setup. It's going, and then the end.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we got to see it.
Yeah, I'm almost on my way through it, but I tried to pick it back up. It's too much British in it. I just can't. It's.
That's just you.
Oh.
Because it's
Speaking of which, but go ahead.
I know it's that end. The end of that first episode, I went, this is gonna be something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's got some bang for its buck.
Yeah. It has some family issues.
Dude, let me tell you, this is why I posted this. This is why Trump is so gangster. And when I say on stage, he's somewhat charismatic, and because of that, there's a part of me that kind of wants to like him, because there is a part of, whether we care to admit it or not, Trump in all of us. And I mean, I know the obvious goal in life is to be the best person you can be, the best human being. So therefore, to even want to massage that idea is like, no, I got to denounce that. But whether we care to admit it or not, in the deepest, darkest places of our soul, we might not do it. But Trump exists. Let me play this clip, because when I'm talking about too much British, I couldn't understand. The accent is too thick. I saw this, and I went, this nigga.
I want to comment on what you just said, though, after you play this.
All right. So this is Trump at the White House fielding questions from reporters. And this one Indian reporter is about to ask a question.
People in India would be, Mr. President, people in India would be welcoming your decision to extradite Habur Rana to.
I can't understand a word he's saying. It's not just the accent. It's a little bit tough for me to hear that.
Can I try again?
How about you, please? Go ahead back there.
Now, what tickles me about this, and this is the part where, you know, and I don't want to get into a big thing about Trump, but I got to point it out since it's there. When you fight with hardcore Trump supporters, or even white folks in general, and they go, "How is Trump racist?" When you watch that clip, and he puts the onus on the word, it's just the accent. Like, he doesn't have to say that like that, but he's doing that for a reason. And that's that passive aggression. What that translates to is this foreigner. I can't understand a word you're saying. It's the accent. When he punches accent like that, he's really saying this foreigner. And that's what makes Trump racist.
Or I don't understand, or I don't understand this accent that you have in a harsh way. Yes, he is saying that. But what's funny about it is, and and I'm glad you brought that up about the accent, and because this is that reporter's job. And I'll tell you the embarrassing part first, and then we'll go to
right. And just to be fair, I said what a lot of people in the clip said. I ain't understand the motherfucker either.
Right.
But go ahead.
But here's the embarrassing part is the fact is that many other world leaders speak multiple languages. I don't know what other language Trump speaks, but definitely,
Straight up hardcore.
Okay, so that's the one. That's the caveat to that. If you're in Europe, you speak multiple languages. You understand people a little differently. Trump is just like, I don't understand your accent. Well, however you said it.
Your accent.
Okay. That being said, I think a lot of reason people all get so irritated, and some of the people that I know are the most vermin Trump haters. And I'm not going to throw you in there, but I'm going to say you don't like him. So let's say this. Some of the people that I think remind me that have a lot of Trump-isms in them are the people that don't like him the most. I have a friend in Arizona, posts about him all the time. One of the most opinionated person who's going to tell you exactly how he feels, not going to sugarcoat it, not going to say anything, whether it's asked for or not asked for, his opinion. And he so hates Trump, and I said something to somebody the other day, for someone who hates Trump, he seems just like Trump. And they go, yeah, that's kind of funny. You, my man, you have Trumpisms.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah, but I mean, to a certain extent, the closer you are to him, the more disdain I think people have for him, because it shows you who you are. And when you said that our goal is to be the best person we can, that's not most people's goal. Most
You
people
don't think so?
No. Are you really trying to be the best person you can be? Human you can be?
As a human being, no.
I mean, are you actively working on that? I mean, when you see yourself up, are you actively working on being the best human you can be? Or are you being the best Aries you can be?
Well, no, I would love to be the best human I can be, but it's always a work in progress.
But when you said, like, this woman doesn't understand English that works at the hotel, you did that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work at the hotel.
It's irritating,
okay.
yes.
So, but, she's just a woman that's trying to get her job. So we have these things in us.
And that's you being the best human you can be and recognizing that. But it still doesn't take away from the fact that if I'm on the phone with, thank you for calling the customer, and I can't understand you because you sound like the chef from Muppets.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's irritating.
But I'm just saying, I don't think that we go out every day and we try to be the best person we can be. I don't think I tried to. I think I know at the end of the day I might beat myself up a little bit because I went, man, I should have done this differently. I should have done. But I don't think we're actively trying to be. I don't think that we go home and we meditate on the things that we could have done better or how we could be better human beings. I really don't think we do that. I think we should put more effort in that, but I don't think we do it. I think we recognize it when it doesn't work out for us, and then we're going, wow, we got to be better about what we do, because you never know when you're going to be on the bad side of that fence. And we don't spend a lot of time working on it. But I do have to say this about that accent that he didn't understand. I don't know if you ever got any of those dudes that with that accent that call you up to give you the warranties or whatever they're trying to sell you over the phone.
Or hang up immediately.
Okay. Anyway, this one guy called me, and it didn't sound like one of those calls. It might have been, but I actually just like trying to be a better human, not hang up on someone. Go ahead and give them the service to say thank you, but no, thank you, I don't need it, and then politely hang up. And he said something, and I go, it was so I couldn't even say thank you, I don't need it, because I didn't know what he said. And I said, I'm sorry, sir, I didn't understand anything. And then he got so mad at me, and then I had, so I was like, well then. You then, I tried to be a better human being. So this is what I'm saying. Do we actually try? Because when we do try, doesn't it seem like we get our kicked up inside of ourselves too?
Either that or we get lost in our own frustration and give up.
it's just the deal. It's just what the deal is, and it is very frustrating to me because when you said that, I was like, I don't know that we try to be the best, because every time I try to be my best person, and like there's been moments I'll never forget opening up the door for somebody who looked like she was carrying some heavy, and it was a woman, and she goes, "I don't need a man to hold the door for me."
Well, she's being a so she deserves what you give her now.
I got to let the door go, and she had to figure it out.
Right.
But her. But I'm just.
But I've also been around you where I could tell there are certain situations where you could have snapped or you may have wanted to snap, but then you don't. There's been times when you've complained about certain things and I could tell your temperature is elevated, but then when it comes time to really deal with it, you pull back. Because that's you being a good human being, a better human being.
Because, I don't want other people to control my emotions either. I don't know if it's me being a better human being or me going, I'm not going to let this control my emotions. I'm going to be at this level because I choose to be at this level. You're not going to make me come to a different level. You're not going to change me. So that's some of it also. I don't know. I just, but when you brought it to Trump, I really do think I related to I think he brings out what we like the least in ourselves.
Right, and that's why I'm saying when people in the comments were like, well, to be fair, we didn't understand him either. And I did a joke about it.
Yeah.
Whether it was the old joke I used to do about going to Popeyes and dealing with the Hispanic workers that behind the counter who I couldn't understand, or whether I'm dealing with the Indian dude on the phone who I can't understand. So I definitely understand that frustration when you're trying to get done. You want to hurry up about your day. You don't want to deal with this. It's aggravating. You got to make the call in the first place. And instead of getting somebody who can smoothly help you through it, now you got to navigate through the verbal blah, 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 blah. So I get but and again, what was telling in that clip, Trump just, I don't understand. Like what?
I like when the guy goes, "Can I try again?" He goes, "The guy in the back."
Yeah, and it's just like, again, when you go, dude, be presidential. What person shows that kind of I don't understand what you're saying. And then you top it off with, and the accent is a little too thick for me. That reeks of foreigner. You foreigner.
You know what?
I gotta say,
Go ahead.
you playing that clip, I mean, it's what we're all thinking. I mean,
Yeah.
He's saying that.
Not being politically correct.
That is part of the allure to Trump.
I know, but
He says
that's
what
maybe an instance where I think I don't mind that.
Nah, but you got to read between the lines. Look at who the man is. I understand he shoots from the hip, but the fact that you said things that people go, yo, that's some wow on a race level. And then you just, to the Indian dude, I don't understand what you're saying. And the accent is a little too thick for me. Come on, man. Check the source.
But you say that after you just on a British film that you can't understand what the guy's
There's a little bit of Trump in me.
There we go.
There's a little bit of Trump in me. I just said that.
I know.
I can't do it.
I just think it's funny though when Martin. I gotta apologize to everybody that's watching this video, because looking at Mark, a kind of agreeing a little bit on the Trump side, wearing a Trump T-shirt today is just killing
sure
it.
now.
I got to be honest. When I first came over here and I saw the Trump shirt, I'll call out the hypocrisy. I will say that I liked his policies, but when I see his face, I got to be honest. It irritates me a little bit. Like I'm not flying a Trump. There's no pictures of Trump in my house. It doesn't go Martin Luther King, JFK, and Trump.
You don't need pictures in your house when he's in your heart.
That's not there either.
Okay. So we watched this Pee-wee. What was it? It's called Pee-wee Himself.
Yeah.
It's a 2-part documentary on HBO Max. And
I was really wondering how you were going to respond to this doc.
why did you think I?
No, because it just I was wondering before we watched it, because I was wondering like where they're going with this, himself, who was Paul Reubens, because we all know him for the dude who was, let's be honest, we knew Pee-wee Herman, but we know Paul Reubens from jerking off at the or apparently or supposedly or jerking off at the an adult movie, but that was the other. We'll get to it later, but it's just that when I heard that when that came out, I was like, he's in LA, an adult bookstore, like movie porno store,
Was it a porno store? Or was it a theater? I thought
It's a porno theater.
Okay, yeah.
It's those they have all those kind of shows, and then they sell.
Yeah.
What else is going on in there, in the theater?
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay, yeah, but so I was always just like, why is that a big deal? And so that kind of ruined Pee-wee for me at that time. And then the name Pee-wee doesn't help it out either. But go on.
This for me, again, like most documentaries, and I've said this before on the pod, even if I don't necessarily, because, most of them I either know about the subject matter, which has my interest to begin with, or like this, I don't really know too much about it, but then it unravels, and then I end up getting into it because it's interesting.
Were you a Pee-wee fan, though, at all?
I was just going to say, Pee-wee Herman was a blip for me, because as a kid growing up, I really didn't understand it, because it was like, this is not a cartoon, but it ain't grown. Like him, in the world he created, it was wacky.
Yeah.
And, it really didn't do much for me like that.
Well, I like Pee-wee Herman from the very first time I saw him in the Cheech and Chong movie.
Uh-huh. I didn't even know that, but I don't watch Cheech and Chong movies.
You never watched him? Oh my God. So the very first time I saw him in Cheech and Chong movies, yes, I already, like, who was that guy? That guy, he stood out immediately.
Right.
And then as I got older, and Pee-wee's, you didn't like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the first movie? Did you ever see it?
I did, but once when it first came out, and again, too wacky.
Dude, I love that movie. Like, love that movie. I had a Pee-wee doll, the one that you pulled the thing, and when my sister or brother broke it.
I used to be able to do that.
Dude, I thought that this alternative universe character that he developed, I thought was really original and fun. And because I love stand-up, right? I had already loved stand-up, but it was such another door into, it was performance art, so it's not really stand-up, but it was being presented as stand-up. When I first saw the first Pee-wee, that first one that they're going to, we'll get to when they, HBO, I think, films it. I saw it, and I was a little baffled because I couldn't wrap my head around it. I liked this Pee-wee character. I liked the movie. The stand-up was not stand-up.
Right.
And so I had a hard time because I was in my head, that doesn't follow the parameters of what stand-up is.
Yeah.
And then, I started,
But neither did Steve Martin, though.
Steve Martin was visual, but he still followed stand-up jokes. There was punchlines somewhat. I started seeing him more as Andy Kaufman, like an Andy Kaufman-esque, where it was like this original idea, and the idea was the presentation, and then the comedy was the idea, more idea of comedy than comedy.
Yeah.
And so, but as we get into this, I think that's what becomes really interesting.
Like, I had no idea, and this is what I'm saying. If I was a fan, I would have known all this. I mean, I remember the movie came out. I remember the sequel. But I had no idea this dude was rock star level in terms of the show, the first hit movie, the merchandise, all the celebrity attention and connections, all the celebrities that came on his show. I had no idea until I watched this. I was like, this was like in the 80s a big deal.
Oh, huge. It was huge. And see, I think that's where we miss a little bit because you're a little younger in the 80s. And if you didn't get into him as a kid liking a Pee-wee, because he didn't have the Pee-wee Herman show then. It wasn't he was for adults.
Like, I didn't know, I thought the Pee-wee Herman show spawned the movie. I didn't know it was the other way around.
Yeah, it was the other way around. So when I was into it, I saw it, I thought that was a great character. And also, you got to think about it, because it is a character that became famous, not the guy. That guy doesn't have any baggage. When the character becomes famous and you run with the character, he doesn't come with anything that he's ever did in his past, his parents, he's just an entity that exists in that moment. And
maybe I should create a character for myself.
So you shouldn't. A character is just who you gonna, he doesn't come with anything.
When he talked about his early influences, because he had always had ambitions about being in Hollywood, but he talked specifically about the shows that entertained him as a kid, and he mentioned Sid Caesar, he mentioned Howdy Doody, and at one point he showed The Little Rascals, and that hit me with my childhood, because, again, we grew up with one TV in the house, so whatever Dad watched, we watched, and he loved The Little Rascals. The Little Rascals would crack my father up. Here's a little trivia for you. In The Little Rascals, there was only 3 black characters. I could name 2, but I kept killing myself trying to name the 3rd one. But I think I got it now. Do you know who they were?
No, I don't.
Not even the biggest one?
Well, I know the biggest one was
Buckwheat?
He knows
yeah,
that.
that's the biggest one,
Right.
But I don't know the
other
know,
2?
I don't know their names. It's
No,
one's
no,
a
the
girl.
character's name.
No, I don't know. But one's a girl.
Yeah. And I didn't think of it until really just now. It was Buckwheat, Stymie. He had the what do you call that hat? The
Paperboy hat?
not the paperboy hat, like a bowl. It starts with a B.
A bolo?
Is that what it's called?
I guess. Oh.
Well, he just had that hat all the time. And then Farina. Farina was the black girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I knew there was a girl.
That's her. Yeah, it was Farina.
I thought Stymie. I can't even picture Stymie right now.
No?
No, I got to look. I want to look it up.
Let Mark do it.
Okay.
Mark, look up type in 3 black little rascals.
I want to see what actually comes up.
3 black from New Orleans.
I like the Little Rascals. I liked Alfalfa, Spanky. Like I liked the
Right.
gang, the original gang, and
Yeah.
and you know it was kind of at that time. And I don't know if you might be too young for this. Beretta was a big hit show, and Beretta was one of the original Little
That's
Rascals.
right. That's
so
right.
that even got me more into because I was
Right.
I was a Beretta fan before
Right.
all the other stuff happens. Yeah, so Little Rascals were tied in. My parents liked Little Rascals because that's what they grew up on.
Did you type it?
Are you talking about like the OG
That's
version?
him. No. That's him right there with the hat.
Right there. Yeah.
Talking about the OG, the original one.
Yeah,
Oh
see how-
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That is right. You know, does his character honestly? Does Buckwheat live on because of Eddie Murphy?
Live on meaning
Like that's the one that I know. You know, Mark even said it. Mark doesn't even know any of
well,
this.
Buckwheat was the original OG.
But is it also that he lives on because of Eddie Murphy?
Yeah, I mean, Eddie made that famous.
So if Eddie doesn't do that,
Tay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know
Looking for nub in all the wrong places. Looking for nub. Yeah. Dude, I was always wondering, and then the documentary quickly answered it. I was always wondering if Pee-wee Herman was gay. And clearly in this doc, you find out quickly he was.
No. Pee-wee Herman was not gay.
What do you mean he wasn't gay?
Paul Reubens is gay. Pee-wee Herman is a character. He doesn't have a sexuality.
Right. And you find out quickly he was, and I just don't understand how that happens, because he described his father as this macho man with swag, and his mother is just a feminine mother. So how does the child end up becoming gay with his dad's genes, when his dad's genes are not like that?
I think
That's such a mystery to me.
I think it's what direction you roll when you get off.
You roll when you get off.
Yeah.
When you mean out the pussy?
When the dad comes, what direction he rolls, right?
I don't get what you're saying.
Well, if he rolls right, maybe, I don't know, but if he rolls left, maybe that's
I'm not understanding what
just
you
how
mean.
he gets off his wife.
Oh, that's
Oh,
what I
woman,
said.
yeah,
When
yeah,
you
yeah.
roll out the.
Yeah, roll. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I wish there was a doctor that could explain to us the science of that.
I don't think there's any science in it. I don't
Because
think
you're supposed to get parts from each parent, and if your dad's a macho guy, and your mom is just a feminine woman, what happens in the vortex that you come out gay?
you're created for man and woman, so you're 50-50 of each.
Well, then you can't be 50-50 because obviously the female part is the most dominant then.
In that particular case, it was.
Damn.
I don't know, but that's not fair to say either, because that's just femininity. That has nothing to do with what you're attracted to. I have no idea. I don't have any idea. I just think that, the reason I think it's important to talk about, though, is because that seemed like a big disconnect for him and his dad.
But what I was going to say was,
to him, it was a disconnect when his dad sends him that note.
well, when his dad says to him, which I thought was powerful, so I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Son, if you're a homosexual, I want you to be the best homosexual you can be. And what's so mind-blowing about that, again, it's coming from a guy who is macho, old school, comes from a generation where, hey, that don't fly. What a way to support your kid, man.
Yeah.
I don't think I could be that supportive. I just don't think I could. I'm not saying I would disown my son, not love my son, but I'm not going to cheer you to be the best sucker you can be.
Well, if you're
I'm not going to champion you to do that.
if you
Well, you're not going to do that for your daughter either.
Do what? To be the best dick sucker she can be?
Yeah. Or are
Of
you?
course not.
Well, I mean, you want her to suck, like, you know, her husband's well.
Yeah, you're done.
But his point is, we don't really want to. We don't. Kids don't really. Kids shouldn't really envision their parents doing it, and you shouldn't envision your kids doing it. I don't think that's. I think that this is something that we all know we do, but we just don't put those faces on it.
Right.
But if your kid's gay, kid's gay. If he's straight, he's straight. What are you gonna do? I don't. I know if either one of my kids came to me and go, "Hey, Dad, you know, I'm switching teams." And be like, you sure? Because they're not. They don't have a huge winning record. You,
Right.
But you want to go? Okay.
You know, Billy Gardell had a great joke where he goes, someone once asked me, what happens if you find out? Because he goes, my wife's giving birth to a kid. I'm having a kid. We found out it's going to be a boy. And he goes, a friend of mine asked me, what are you going to do if he turns out to be gay? You think I'm gonna do? I'm still gonna love him. He's my son. I don't get to yell do-over. It's just now I know that instead of going to football games, I'm going to the ballet. But believe this, I'm not gonna change. I'm still gonna attack the ballet with the same energy I would attack the football game. You call that a purette, you son of a get your head out of your ass. That's great.
Yeah. I just don't think that. I think that if you come to the realization and you know. If you see someone that is struggling and not having a happy life, and they come to terms with whatever they've been concealing or trying to come to terms with on their own time in their own space, and now they're happier, I think you'd have to support them no matter what. I think you would tend to support them because you saw a better direction from them, a better path.
Yeah.
Except those. Am I right?
Yay!
I told you before, if someone's trans, live your trans life. Don't just try to jump into other people's spaces. That isn't fair to other people. That's what it's about.
Hi, Andy. I'm Tina.
And I can dunk.
Yeah. And you know, you just hit this note a second ago in talking about how he created this, for lack of better words, Frankenstein's monster. And I just went, what must that be like that you create Frankenstein's monster, a character so big and larger than life, you could never be who you really are. That's got to, at some point, weigh on you. But again, what I did not know until I watched this, because again, I didn't follow Paul Reubens, a.k.a. Pee-wee Herman, like that, what was so mind-blowing is not only did he eventually escape the creation, but he survived the.
Yeah.
And in show business, when you create a character that's larger than life, they lock you into that. And they don't allow you to flex your creative juices at all. Excuse me, this heartburn. Past that, because you've created something that they feel can't be escaped. And that's all the public is gonna see you as. So I didn't know till part 2 that, yeah, this motherfucker went on to be in a lot of movies and got a chance to flex his creative muscles. That's all my notes for part 1.
Well, he was in Blow. You know, he got into Blow. That was awesome. But that's all you got for part 1?
Yeah, I told you I don't have
the
a lot.
rise of Pee-wee Herman. Well, I guess we did kind of talk about it, but the rise of him coming out. I think what you're saying though about creating a character. What's interesting to me though is Hollywood does that to you. You know, it's hard for. Michael Richards, well, he caused some of his own problems, but Michael Richards to be out of the Kramer character,
Right.
to Jason Alexander.
What put him where he is was the rant.
Well, that's what I said. He created some of his
Right.
own. But Jason Alexander really doesn't, he works on Broadway, but he does,
Yeah.
because they get so into.
Yeah, but the thing that bothers me is I hate the fact that Hollywood makes the assumption for the buying public.
Right.
They decide what works and what doesn't, who should be and who doesn't. But Hollywood being the gatekeepers, they decide, well, because you've done this character, no one will see you outside. Well, first of all, if the talent is phenomenal and you put great talent with great writing, great directors, surround them with an ensemble of other great people, talent's going to do what it does. Creativity is going to shine. But Hollywood does that to people and assumes, well, just because we see you that way, the public's going to see you that way, so therefore you're done.
Well, the reason, though, I do think that he was able to break away a little bit from it is because he was in control of the character. He didn't let Hollywood put him in that character. He presented that character to Hollywood. He made that a mainstream staple. And when things fell apart, even though Paul Reubens killed the character because of the problems he got into, he was able to survive. He couldn't. He was able to survive and become Paul Reubens. And I think that was kind of as killing Pee-wee. Whether or not that was, what he. I know that's not what he wanted. I know that was the downfall. But in another way, it allowed him to live because he wasn't alive. He, when he talks about going to his movie, and everybody's he's one of the writers, but he's not getting credit for the movie because Pee-wee Herman is getting credit for the movie. Paul Reubens isn't getting credit for the movie. And then who was the director? The director who did Batman? And
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton gets all the credit for the movie.
Right.
And that's the other thing that I think that's amazing, that it was, what, a $6 or $8 million, and it does $40 million in its first, and he's off and running at that point. The other thing that you skipped over is all the Groundlings work that he did and all the people that he came up with.
Phil Hartman. I don't know who else was notable from that.
The guy from The Car and Baywatch. Kip, David Hasselhoff.
Oh, okay.
He's one of the other people there. And I just thought that was interesting. I thought it was interesting that he didn't get the SNL part, and that's what led him to make Pee-wee Herman his bigger character, because he thought he was an original, and then he went to the SNL tryouts, whatever, and they said, "Man, you're a shoo-in, you're going to get it." And Gilbert Gottfried is there, and Gilbert Gottfried is the standout instead of him.
But how funny is it that he didn't get Saturday Night Live as a regular, but he got it as a host.
But I think at that time, Saturday Night Live had a really hard time. That's an interesting twist to me, is if Paul Reubens does get on there, and Paul Reubens isn't locked into just Pee-wee, and he has all those other characters, and he's obviously a talent, a writer, someone very driven. Does that change SNL at that time?
Oh, right. If he
gets in instead of Gilbert Gottfried. Because Gilbert Gottfried is kind of limited on what he can do.
And Gilbert Gottfried really wasn't someone that, when you think about the greats that came out of SNL, he's not one of them names.
I think he's a great stand-up. I really did like him as a stand-up. And he was also someone that's committed to a character. That character of Gilbert.
That guy that talks like this. Yeah.
So, I think it's really interesting. I think that there was a lot more characters living inside of Paul Reubens. That if he would have been on SNL, I think that would have been very interesting to see the development of SNL at that time.
Well, maybe he doesn't grow.
Maybe
on SNL.
maybe there's no Pee-wee. Maybe there's no standout Pee-wee, or maybe Pee-wee becomes one of those Lauren Michael movies that kind of is just. Yeah. It makes money. It's a good vehicle, but it's never anything that people go, "Oh my God, this is changing my life."
Listen, when you're a struggling, starving actor, you have to take that you probably don't want. And I'm like, did Lawrence Fishburne really want to be Cowboy Curtis?
He talks about this a little bit. And I'm surprised that they didn't have him in this. I don't know if he opted not to do it.
But see, that's what I'm alluding to.
But he said that, obviously he started off as a young child actor. Yeah. I almost said star, but he wasn't a star. He was a child actor.
When one of the best, it might be considered blaxploitation because of the time it came out, but Cornbread Earl and Me. Did you ever see that?
I saw it.
Yeah.
But the thing that, the Apocalypse Now scenes, though, and that's really, but he talks about how important that show was and what it did and how many people, he talks about the people that were on the show and what difference the show made and the directors and what that did for his career afterwards, because he met all these really talented people because Paul Reubens, talent was attracted to him.
Yeah.
And he's a very interesting guy. The last thing that I want to say, there was another part in there that he said about things that were his influences, and it was really funny to me because I didn't even pick it up at the time, but Warhol films. And the Warhol movies, very interesting, but to me, they're they're Kiss, Sleep, bunch of
And
movies.
you know what, Warhol, that's a perfect thing because that to me is what Pee-wee Herman's world felt like, and one big Andy Warhol piece, wild, extravagant, all over the place.
A party at Studio 54 all the time, but with artists and happening going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I saw it, but the way that they filmed the dog eating was one of those things, and there was a film that Warhol did called Eat, and that's similar. Very interesting that those are the connections to the people that he influenced his life, because I'm tied to those connections because a lot of those same connections are in my life. And so I found a deeper connection to actually Paul Reubens from that and Pee-wee Herman.
Let's venture down, not necessarily go into my neighborhood, but like close to the city limits. You know, many times in this, and I've seen it in other cartoons, SpongeBob, you know, there are sexual innuendos allowed on a show that's geared towards children. Even though they don't pick up on it, meaning the children, the insinuations are there, which feels wrong. Isn't that wrong? And for somebody like me who got caught up in that controversy, and people want to point the finger and go, "Look what you did," and I'm not excusing it, but Hollywood does this all the time.
Yeah. Well, the reasoning behind it is, and we can argue whether it is okay or not okay, but if those jokes go over the kids' heads, but they make the parents laugh, the parents are watching with the kids, and so the idea is that the kids are getting a show that is on one level, and on the other level is some entertainment for the kids.
So as long as the kids don't catch it, it's okay.
Well, that's what Disney does. The same. Disney does it.
That's that. What you talk about. The hypocrisy.
Nickelodeon, we seen the movies where they talk about Nickelodeon really went over the top with it, and people, I think that Nickelodeon went too far on a lot of it. On the Pee-wee's Playhouse, they like the one where she's riding the horse. They show the one where she's riding the horse. Is that a bit much? It just the way that they. I don't know. Sometimes when they try to hide it, the kids notice it more. But when they did it openly like that, I don't know if a kid's going to pick it up on that.
I could see where a kid would see the funny in that because
she's riding
a horse. Her hair's up when it's over. But then there was the other moment where the guy pulls up the picture of the mermaid with no chest. And he goes, "Pee-wee, what's the two things that are missing here?" And he goes, "Oh, I know." And he draws earrings on her, when clearly the joke is she's missing tits.
But and at the same time, it's also like, and I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with this, the Pee-wee character, who's the more childlike, would say, "Oh, that's what this is missing." So is that more to the kid?
That's a slippery slope, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, and this is where we have to decide, and this is why I think parents should be very involved in what their kids watch, and this is what's not happening right now because most parents hand their kid an iPad so they can do their things while their kids play on the iPad, and they're not even paying attention. And that social media, the internet world is very wild west. I mean, there's people out there just walking through this, brand new land, doing whatever they want to do. And so you have to have some more controls over kids. And I know that they want to put more, the government wants to put more control over what's allowed on the internet, but also parents need to be parents. Go back to Charles Barkley real quick. He's not a role model.
I am not a role model.
Yeah, that's that's your parents' job.
Right.
So, and I speaking as a parent, I had to be part of it. There's times I didn't put enough effort into, and I had to go make a recall on what my kids were watching. So it is our job as parents.
Shouldn't you be allowed to jerk off in a movie theater? It's a gay movie. It's an adult movie theater.
An adult movie theater. If you go in, you know what? I know you weren't a Rocky Horror Picture Show guy. You didn't go to that. But there's people will go to the Rocky Horror Picture Show and they bring plastic like garbage bags or umbrellas to put over because there's in the scenes when it's raining, people bring squirt bottles and they're shooting squirt bottles up in the air so it feels like it's raining inside the theater, and they act all this stuff out. I think if you go to especially a gay male porno theater, and you don't bring a rain slicker or something to put on you,
Right.
and someone's behind you,
Yeah.
you f***ed up. That's you f***ed up. If they're jerking off and that you f***ed up. That's your fault for not bringing your own protection. And the reason I said male is because I don't think some women squirt pretty good, so maybe you need it in those theaters now.
Dude,
too.
I accidentally was supposed to go somewhere, and somebody gave me a f***ed up address, and I got in through the back door. Turns out it was a gay movie theater. Mark was sitting in there.
What's up, Aries?
Did he have a slicker on? Did he have a rain slicker on?
I didn't stick around long enough to see.
Okay.
I got the popcorn.
And this is really my last note is like when the whole witch hunt and again I didn't notice so I knew about the jacking off in the theater, but I didn't know that he was later accused of child being a pedophile. And when the raid came on his crib and they took all the ultimately it was deemed a witch hunt, and they found nothing, absolutely nothing, to suggest that he was that. And what they found was a lot of gay materials, gay magazines, I guess gay videos, and I just went, he was simply gay.
Yeah.
He was a gay man into gay shit.
Well, not only was he so he's a gay man into gay shit, and there's a collection. But as you look at his house, he collected everything. There's little figurines, little everything.
Yeah.
He was a hoarder of material. Like
Right.
but because he put it in bins, he was a collector.
Yeah,
If you throw it all over your house and you pile it up in a corner,
that's a hoarder.
yeah. But if you put it in bins and you label it, you're a collector.
Yeah,
So he was a collector.
right.
And I think that was, that's one part of it. Why, so you have a large amount, and they think that they got you,
Yeah.
and then they go through all of it, and then they showed the one magazine that had a younger guy on the cover, but it was a legitimate magazine, and the guy was of age, and but a day before they're supposed to close that case out, and he's not going to be brought up on charges. And this is the other thing, whoever it is, the DA in L.A., new political guy, wants to make a name for himself. There's a famous person that they can go after, so he brings up the charges. And there was nothing there.
And the up part about it is, and this is how up this country is. So after it's been proven that there's no smoking gun, he still had the label as a sex offender. How do you do that?
Yeah, and he has to go to classes, and he can't be around kids over. Yeah, so
If there's no smoking gun and you're not that, why would I have to register and do that?
well, some people would say you'd rather err on the side for the betterment of the children, right?
That's I don't even understand how that's allowed.
But what I think is worse is when you know there's nothing there and you continue to perpetuate that, and you're ruining someone else for only the reasons of your personal career. That's where we're not doing our job right, because now every time you take someone who is not a perpetrator, a predator, and you hold them up and say, this person did this, and then your case breaks up, and then they have to either admit or take a lesser charge because they didn't do it, you're opening up the door for people not to take that seriously. And that's the problem with the DA or someone trying to get political points doing things like this. And I really liked that David Arquette and Cox really stood behind him and said, no, that's not the guy we know. And he had a television to kids show that they did cancel because of these things. And the sad part about it is, and we know from watching this happen to other people, if he had anything to do with that, other children would have came out of the woodwork, and they didn't. No one came out and goes, "Oh no, he that wasn't who he was." And the saddest part to me, and I told you that I thought I was really sad. I asked you if we were going to talk about this because, first of all, I just feel like being wrongfully accused just to make points or just to get something out of something, is the worst thing that you can do on this, because there are people out there that are pedophiles, and you are weakening the government's case when you put up people that aren't pedophiles and trying to accuse them of that to make your own political points. Right. That's my big problem with that. But and then destroying someone's career, making him come back. And he did come back, and he did, his talent survived, and he raised above it. But at the end, when he doesn't want to talk about it. This is the whole thing throughout this whole. If you watch the 2-part doc, he's not gonna. They try to get him to go there, and I think it's very funny because he fights it the whole way, and no one knows while they're doing these recordings that he's basically dying. He's dying. He has cancer, and he's been fighting it for 5 years. And when they did this, it was towards the very end, and he's not giving them the answers that they want. And he said that they'd talk about it again later, and he just never showed back up to do those interviews. And so he taped the interview, and he can't even say that. Like, he just goes, "I'm just gonna say it, pedophile." And you just felt like he never his career may have recovered, but him as a person, they killed him. Yeah. They killed him because he was never able to come back from it. He always felt that was how he was going to be seen. He was always uncomfortable with how he was viewed in the first place from the very beginning. Then he got very comfortable in life, and then he went back in the closet. That's when and this is what we were talking about when you said if it be the best homosexual you can be, as his dad said. Don't get into the closet. Don't hide, because that is where you are. You're open for people to take advantage of the fact that you're hiding something.
Well, a lot of times when they go back in the closet, they're just looking for a new outfit.
Well, he found one, the Pee-wee Herman one. Dude, his time on Letterman was the perfect person for him to be on, because Letterman is interested and disinterested enough at the same time.
Right.
And those appearances on there, and I didn't know that how many times he was on, that he was like a semi-regular at the beginning of the Letterman experience, right, to get Letterman blown up. A very interesting career, very interesting guy. I think it's a long watch, but I think it in order to understand him and the end of this, you have to watch the whole thing. I got to be honest, this part 2, there's 2 parts. Part 2 depressed me, but what happened is I wanted to watch it when I got back off the show Friday night, so I fell asleep. And I had started and I fell asleep, and then I woke up and part 2 was on. So I go, I'll just watch part 2, and then I'll watch part 1 from where I kind of remember leaving off. So I watched part 2. I was so depressed, I just started part 1 again, and I watched the part 1, and that's where his career is going up. And so I was like, okay, that made me feel better. I'm glad I watched it that way. So if you guys want to, just check it out. If you're going to check it out, I don't know how many people want to check this out, but if you do,
go out of order.
Go out of order, and you'll have a happier time watching it than you will in the regular way. Because I was really saddened for him, and his house, everything about him. There was nothing that was mean-spirited, angry. All the issues are with himself. Yeah. I think he was hard to work with. That's the other thing that people did say, though. He was hard to deal with. I didn't like that him and Phil Hartman didn't stay friends.
Yeah, but I also think that, that might have been a little bit of Phil Hartman's ego, too. Getting on SNL was a big deal. Yeah,
and not wanting to go because you have that other thing, and then Pee-wee Herman is, Paul Reubens, but Pee-wee Herman is blowing up, and you're the salty sea captain, and
right,
and he wants you to stay the salty sea captain. And that has to be frustrating though too for him. Yeah, so egos do clash.
But he recognized it enough to go. But that's show business.
Yep. But both of them said that.
Yeah, I mean, if your choice is let me, be the backup singer on your band when I can go solo, what do you think I'm gonna do? Be the salty sea captain on your show, or create my own lane on SNL?
Exactly, but I don't know why they had to get that. They have to get that way. I was sorry that Lawrence Fishburne wasn't in this. I was really expecting him to have something, because he's talked about this a little bit lately about the advantages that he got because everybody was kind of giving him a hard time. You playing that? And he's like, and he talks about what that did to his career because of all the people that he met, and not to mention the designer, the artist that drew everything and then built those sets.
Yeah,
I forgot. I don't have his name on
Matt
me.
Something.
Dude is. I seen some of his original furniture that he's done afterwards that he built for other people and other sets. Dude's incredible, and yes, it is fantasy-like. It has a like that 50s kitschy kind of Pink Flamingos kind of feel, but it also has this Bauhaus kind of jagged edges, and it's pretty cool, man. I just love that I love art. I love the way that Pee-wee's character and letting people do the best that they can and really expressing it within the lane that they're all working out of. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was Pee-wee.
That's all I got, man.
That's good. That's fair. You want to do? You want to do the? What was the other? Oh, yeah.
We should combine it.
Combine what?
Shooting guard and Favre.
You want to combine it?
Yeah, because we're at 50 minutes.
All right. So you just want to do a quick one? This is a quick podcast.
I mean,
You guys
got
good
10
with that?
minutes?
Yeah.
There's only 10 minutes left.
Yeah. Well, they're good. You should be good with it. We'll give you a little longer emails.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, and I still got to give dates.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry folks. On the next one, we will do Shooting Guards, the Netflix doc on Untold, and the fall of Brett Favre, Untold. So it's gonna be some sports, football and basketball.
For all you sports junkies that love it, can't get enough of it.
That's right.
You want me to give out these dates? Or you got anything else? Got anything about Buffalo?
No, I can't even. Buffalo's got me this heartburn's got me phased out, dude.
Hey, a big shout out to the Buffalo. The Bisons. They're the lacrosse team that I think has won 3 championships in a row here in Buffalo. Only championships I think Buffalo has.
You took shit on the Bills just now?
I didn't. I'm just saying listen, I'm from Arizona. I'm from Phoenix. We never had a championship except for I believe the Rattlers. Was it the Rattlers that won a championship? Was the first one ever, and then we did get the baseball one. So I've been around. I know what it feels like to get there, to feel like you're going to touch the goal, like you're going to get the trophy. Yeah. And that shit goes away. But it was just funny out here because the Bisons, it was a big deal. I mean, there was people still cheering, and it f***ed up the people coming in for the show, the first show early last night, because they were coming over from the arena. I just thought it was great. I love and if you never watched lacrosse, it's a quick sport.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. Oh. It's a quick sport. Did you pull it? Can you pull them up? Did you pull them up by any chance?
The Buffalo Bisons.
Did it update it? Does it say they have 3 championships
Wait
now?
a second.
I hope they won after I just said that. Everybody said they won last night. All right. Dates. Our man pulls that up here. Guys.
Buffalo Bandits.
Bandits?
Good thing we fact checked that. It was pandemonium yesterday. I didn't even know that sport existed professionally.
Sorry, I had it all wrong. Bandits, you guys. I f***ed up. Guys, where are we? We're going to be, this is June 4th, 5th. While you're listening to this, we've already been through Canada and Boston's Wilbur Theater. And so we're going to be at Louisville Comedy Club. June 6th through the 8th is the date after you listen to this. June 13th to the 15th, we're going to be at the Funny Bone in Omaha. June 19th to the 21st, we're going to be at Wise Guys in Las Vegas. It's our...
Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah. And Tara, my girl's coming out.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Because it's our the following. I might.
A life is.
I told Tara that I would take her to.
I have a leash, and every byway.
The Elvis
of
Wedding
the night.
Chapel.
What's Marlon? Excuse me.
I think Tara and I are gonna get
remarried.
Yeah, we're gonna. After 1 year, we'll go to the Elvis Chapel. Or whatever it's called. I forgot what.
Make sure you take me.
It's going to be on the 22nd. You're going to have to stay.
No,
it's going to be on the 22nd.
I'm going to dress like Chubby Checker and
Fats Domino. Why don't you do Fats Domino instead?
No, I like Chubby Checker, and then Mark can dress as Liberace.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, we're going to go because we're staying an extra night because our anniversary is the 22nd. And then Aries and I, and I'm staying out there because Aries and I are going to go to the 26th to the 28th to Olson Run Comedy Club out in Eugene, Oregon. And that's our first time there as well. July 5th, we're going to be at Margaritaville Resort and Casino in Louisiana. and Bossier. Is that your first time there too? I forgot I asked you. It's that Margarita.
I think so.
Only for the high rollers.
Even the way he said that was too much for me to comment on right now. July 12th, we're going to be at the Fitzgerald Theater. That's in St. Paul, Minnesota. July 17th to the 20th, we're going to be at the Helium Comedy Club in Portland, Oregon, followed by July 24th through the 26th at the Comedy at the Carlson in Rochester, New York. That's our first time out there, right? Have you done that one?
I've been to Rochester,
but not to the car. No, okay. And July 31st through August 3rd, we'll be at the Stress Factory in New Brunswick, New Jersey. One of the most, I think it's an underrated club when people talk about like great clubs throughout the country. Stress Factory is fucking killer.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't want to say this because people are going to take it the wrong way, but it smells like a comedy club.
It's got that feel.
The feel, the smell. You walk downstairs into you don't know that you're walking to a basement, but it's actually basement level. It has that basement-y smell, like a comedy club is supposed to have. That aroma and comedy's been packed into the wall for years there.
Like death and cocaine dust.
and it's not perfect. The stage isn't exactly in the center of the viewing area, and it just makes the room. I don't know. There's something about like the cellar in New York. Those rooms, they're not perfect, but the comedy has been in there for so long that it just feels. Tempe Improv in Arizona, high ceilings, shouldn't be great,
But that don't feel like that to me.
It doesn't, because it's awesome. Some rooms just work regardless of whether you go.
I mean, it's a great room, but when you talk about the
like stand-up
Stress
line.
Factory, it doesn't have that.
It does to me.
Really?
Yeah, I love that room. I don't think that's your best shows. I don't think your best shows are there. I think your best shows are at Stand Up Live. But I had phenomenal shows in that room. And
Here's a young Aries at the Stress Factory with a fan.
Oh, Jesus.
It's either Aries or David Ortiz. I can't tell.
he thinks he's being cute.
No, you know who I get a lot? What's the dude from the Yankees? CC Sabathia.
Yeah.
I would have people call me like, dude, I thought you was CC Sabathia. I don't see it.
No, you do.
I think they're just calling
What?
me a big dude.
Look at him. Especially now. You should have seen him retired.
Get the out of here.
No, look at him. Look at him now. And you got to have the hat on. You got to have the Yankees hat to make it work.
Nah, son.
Yeah.
Them ears. Look at the way them ears flail out. My ears don't do that.
I didn't say it was 100%. I didn't
Not
say it
even
was,
close.
when you're wearing the hat and you got your little scowl on and he has his scowl on. Yeah, it's similar. All right, man. That's the show.
Spears and Steinberg.
Thanks for listening to the Spears and Steinberg podcast. For more information on where to find us on the internet, visit spearsburgpod.com.